Let me ask you something. How many years have you spent worrying about the size of your willy? If you're honest with yourself, probably more than you'd like to admit. And I get it. Men have been fed this idea since they were teenagers that size is everything. That bigger is better. That if you're not measuring up to some number you read somewhere, you're already losing before you even get started. And here's what I want to tell you today. That conversation, the size conversation, is the wrong conversation entirely. And the men who are obsessed with it are missing something so much more important. Something that actually determines whether a woman comes back to your bed or finds a reason not to. I'm Valerie, sex therapist, and today we are talking about the vagina. Specifically, how deep it actually is, what it does during sex. That's why the body is a lot smarter than most people realize. And what all of that means for you practically in bed tonight. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand the female body in a way that most men, including men half your age, never do. And that understanding, that is what actually separates a man who knows what he's doing from one who doesn't. Okay, so let's start with the basics, because most men have never actually been taught this. The vagina, when a woman is not aroused, is roughly 3 to 4 inches deep. That's it, 3 to 4 inches. And the width is narrow. The walls are actually touching each other at rest. If you were to look at a cross section, it's almost collapsed on itself. Now I want you to sit with that for a second, because the average erect penis is about 5 inches, which means, as in theory, if a man attempts penetration on a woman who is not aroused, he is already too big. Not because of his size, because of hers, because her body hasn't done what it needs to do yet. And this, right here, is what most men never understand. And it's why so many women find sex uncomfortable. Not because of anatomy, because of timing. You see, when a woman becomes aroused, genuinely aroused, not just going along with it, her body does something remarkable. The vaginal canal lengthens. The walls engorge with blood. Exactly the way your penis engorges with blood. And that canal expands in depth and in width. We're talking 5 to 7 inches deep, sometimes more. The whole environment changes. It becomes warmer, wetter, softer, more elastic. It opens like it was designed to receive. And here's the key word, designed. Or as the body designed this process. The female body is not a passive thing waiting to be entered. It is an active system that prepares itself. And when that system is allowed to fully engage, when a woman is fully aroused before anything enters her, the fit is almost always exactly right. The body accommodates. The depth is there. The width is there. The natural lubrication is there. Now, when that system is rushed, when penetration happens before arousal is complete, the canal is still short, still narrow, still dry, and what should feel good feels like pressure, like friction in the wrong way, like something forcing itself somewhere it hasn't been invited yet, and she'll lie there and take it, because women do, but she's not enjoying it, and she won't be thinking about next time the way you want her to be thinking about next time. So the first practical thing I want you to take from this video is simple. Her size isn't the problem. Your timing is. Give her body the time it needs to fully prepare, and the fit will almost always take care of itself. Alright, now let's talk about elasticity, because this is the part that surprises most people. The vagina is one of the most elastic structures in the human body, and I mean that literally. The tissue is designed to stretch significantly and return to its resting state. It is the same tissue that allows a baby's head to pass through during childbirth. So when men worry that a woman has been with someone larger and now nothing will feel the same, That's not how anatomy works. That's anxiety talking, not science. Now, what elasticity means for you practically is this. Within reason, size differences between partners are not the barrier most men think they are. A woman's body can accommodate a wide range. Small, average, large. The elasticity bridges the gap when arousal is doing its job. You see, what a study published in the International Journal of Impotence Research actually found is that it's elasticity, not dimensions, that plays the crucial role in sexual satisfaction. The numbers matter far less than whether the body has been given the conditions it needs to respond fully. And the conditions it needs: warmth, time, genuine arousal, mental engagement. Those are things you control. Those are not about your anatomy. They are about your approach. Okay, now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. And I want you to stay with me because this next part, most people have never heard this. Do you know why the human penis is shaped the way it is? Not just the length, the shape. The ridge around the head, what's called the corona, that distinct mushroom shape. Most men have never thought about why it exists. They've just had it their whole lives. Here's what evolutionary scientists believe. Early humans were not monogamous. People were sleeping with multiple partners, and that created a biological competition problem. If a woman had sex with more than one man in a short period of time, whose sperm was going to reach the egg? So the penis evolved. The ridged corona, that flared edge around the head, is thought to act like a biological scoop. During thrusting, that ridge pulls fluid back away from the cervix, which means if another man's sperm was already there, the thrusting action of the penis would draw it away, clearing the path, increasing the odds that this man's sperm would reach the egg. Now, think about what that means. The shape of the penis is essentially a built-in competitive mechanism, designed by evolution specifically for a world where sexual competition was real and constant. And now think about why deep, long thrusting, even without much girth, tends to feel satisfying for women, because it's not random. The body responds to that motion, that depth, that rhythm, because that rhythm was evolved for a purpose. Your anatomy has a history, and understanding it changes how you think about what you're doing in bed. Now I want to pause here for a second, because what I'm about to get into, I can touch the surface of it here, but I can't go where I actually want to go on this platform. The specifics, the techniques, what women actually respond to once you understand how their body works. YouTube won't let me take it there, so I have a private newsletter. It's called Valerie Uncensored, and in there I share the real version of this conversation. Exactly what to do with everything I'm telling you today. How to use arousal, depth, rhythm, timing in specific, practical, explicit terms. The things women want you to know but will never sit you down and explain. The link is in the description. Join. It's free to start, and the first issue alone will change how you approach sex. Alright, now, back to something I promised you earlier, because this is the part I love. Ancient Chinese matchmakers. Stay with me. So in ancient China, specifically within a tradition called the Tao of Sexology, matchmakers were trained to predict sexual compatibility between a man and a woman just by looking at them. Not by asking questions, not by any kind of physical examination, just by looking at facial features, reading the face like a map. And the reason they cared about this so much is that they were trying to avoid what they called a sexual size mismatch. They believed, and there's something to this, that a couple who were deeply sexually incompatible would struggle in every other area of the relationship too. So compatibility wasn't an afterthought. It was the starting point. Now here's what they claimed they could read from the face. A woman with a small mouth and short fingers narrow vaginal canal, less depth. A woman with full, thick lips, wider, more elastic. Deep-set eyes with thin eyelids, deeper vaginal canal. The bulging eyes with thick, heavy lids, shorter. And a woman with high, prominent cheekbones. What they called widow's bones was said to have exceptional depth and an extremely high sex drive. So much so that she was considered potentially overwhelming for certain men. The belief was that her sexual appetite could genuinely exhaust a partner who wasn't equipped to match her. Okay, now is any of this backed by modern science? No, not directly. There are no peer-reviewed studies connecting lip thickness to vaginal width. But here's why I'm telling you about it. Because what it reveals is that sexual compatibility has been a serious concern for human beings for thousands of years. These weren't crude people making jokes. These were trained practitioners who were paid to solve a real problem, the problem of pairing two people whose bodies and desires were actually going to work together. And the face reading is fascinating regardless of whether the specific correlations hold up. Because the broader idea that the body gives you information, that compatibility is something you can observe and assess, that idea is not wrong. You see, what matters about the Tao of sexology isn't whether thick lips really predict width. What matters is the underlying philosophy that sexual harmony requires fit, and fit requires knowledge, and knowledge requires paying attention. Most men go into sexual encounters with very little attention paid to the other person's body, to how she's responding, to whether she's actually aroused or just going along, to whether her body has prepared itself or is still waiting. The ancient matchmakers were obsessed with fit. You should be too. Now, let me bring this all together, because I want you to walk away from this video with something you can actually use. Here's what the science tells us. The vagina is not a fixed space. It is a responsive system. Unaroused, it is short and narrow, not designed for penetration yet. Aroused, it expands, deepens, lubricates, softens. The body does this automatically when the conditions are right, when there is enough time, enough warmth, enough genuine arousal. And here's what that means for you. Foreplay is not a favor you do for a woman before you get to the real thing. Foreplay is the biological trigger that makes her body physically capable of receiving you comfortably. It is not courtesy. It is physiology. When without it, you're attempting to fit yourself into a space that hasn't opened yet. And no amount of size, technique, or experience is going to make that feel good for her. Now here's the thing about elasticity. It means that in almost all cases, a size mismatch is a myth. Her body will meet yours when it's ready. The range of accommodation is wide. What determines whether sex feels good for her is almost never your measurements. It's almost always whether she was ready. And readiness takes time. It takes attention. It takes a man who is paying close enough attention to her body to know the difference between a woman who is warming up and a woman who is there. You see, the men who are genuinely good in bed, and I've heard this from women more times than I can count, are not the men with the most impressive anatomy. They're the men who read the room, who feel the difference in her body, who know when to slow down and when to go, who understand that her arousal is not decoration, it is the whole game. The penis evolved its shape to compete in a world of multiple partners. The vagina evolved its elasticity to accommodate a wide range. Both of these facts point to the same thing. The body was designed for connection, for fit, for the right conditions being created. Your job is to create those conditions. Alright, let me leave you with this. The ancient matchmakers in China were solving a problem that still exists today. Sexual compatibility. Does this person's body, desire, and energy actually match mine. And the fact that they treated it as a serious, a solvable question worthy of a trained professional tells you something about how important it has always been. You're not too old for this conversation. You're not past the point where any of this applies to you. The men I work with in their 50s, 60s, 70s. The ones who take the time to actually understand the female body, to understand arousal, to understand what their partner's body needs from them. Those are the men having the best sex of their lives, not despite their age, because of what their age has taught them if they've been paying attention. So pay attention, give her body time, understand what arousal actually does. Stop thinking in inches and start thinking in readiness, in warmth, in the kind of presence that allows a woman's body to fully open. That's the science, that's the ancient wisdom. And honestly, that's what she's been hoping you'd figure out. And if you want me to take you deeper, the specific techniques, the explicit detail, the real conversation about what women feel and want and never say, join Valerie Uncensored. Link is in the description. That's where we go all the way. I'll see you there.